yes, Sir Hairless here. Today, the Santa hat has decided to fall directly in front of my face. I could film like this. I'm not sure it would be the best thing to do. Once it decides to fall a certain way, that's it. It has a mind of its own. I think that's the best we're going to get, so I hope that's not too bulgy and annoying. Right. This is a Patreon request. Thank you for this one. And this is VoicePlay's newest release, Zat U Santa Claus. Not gonna lie, I did not know the original song by Louis Armstrong and the Commanders. I've just listened to it a few times and immediately it reminds me of the Oogie Boogie song.
Mr. Oogie Boogie says there's trouble close at hand. You better pay attention now.
I don't think I need to explain why it reminds me of it. It's quite obvious. And Zat U Santa Claus, it's a fun song. Soft brass, walking bass, swing rhythms. It would work well with The Grinch, I feel. Anyway, this is VoicePlay. They're featuring Jay Nunn. Who knows what they'll do? Louis Armstrong has one of the most recognizable voices of all time, I think. Will they copy that somehow, being the theatre kids that they are, or not, or just a bit? I always come into these VoicePlay videos with questions and I leave with very different answers. So hopefully going to be a fun one. Let's get straight into it.
Who is that you, Santa, Santa, whoa? Who is that you, Santa, Santa, whoa? Gifts I'm preparing for some Christmas sharing, but I pause because hanging a stocking, I can hear you knocking. Is that you, Santa Claus? It sure is dark out, ain't no spark out upon my slacking jaw. Who's there, who is it, are you stopping for a visit?
Is that you, Santa Claus?
Santa Claus, are you bringing a present for me? Something pleasant that you can present, a present for me. That is just what I've been waiting for.
Would you mind slipping it under the door?
Cold winds are howling, Lord Gaddafi growling. My legs feel like straw. Hey, mama, my, hold me, my. Oh, won't you reply? Is that you, Santa Claus? Oh, tonight you know he's coming. Oh, he's coming for you. Oh, you've not been bad. He's coming, you're running and running. He's coming to get you. A gift, be good. You better be good.
Oh, it's a groovy song, isn't it? Very cool. And they have stayed pretty true to the original song overall. In terms of the visual effects, they've kind of gone full out there, haven't they? I mean, I don't know how much trickier that would be doing all those changes whilst the camera is still moving compared to having some special effects added in, some CGI. Anyone familiar with that line of work, please do let me know. I'm very interested. And all those position changes, they're so quick. Blink and literally you will miss multiple of them at once. They add an eerie feel to everything. And as far as Christmas songs go, I did have to look up the lyrics after hearing it for the first time just to make sure that I hadn't missed anything really kind of grave or insincere in there. At surface level, the lyrics aren't that sinister, but you could easily pick them apart and argue that as far as Christmas songs go, this is not one of the nicest and brightest ones. Okay, analysis pause. If you don't want to hear my analysis, go to the timestamp. As usual, lovely set, everything extremely color coordinated. You've got your greens, your reds, your burgundies. I like the little VoicePlay angel vinyl thing at the top of the tree. The VoicePlay logo, it is like half of a vinyl, right? That's what I've always thought it is. If I am wrong, let me know. It's best to correct myself before the new year.
Who is that you, Santa, Santa, whoa? Who is that you, Santa, Santa, whoa?
Straight in with the repeated motif in the accompanying parts. Woo, is that you, Santa, Santa. Lovely whistling from Caesar. Walking bass, one of the prominent parts in the original, which they have kept in here in Jeff. Amazing, as usual. And we get these, it almost sounds like a mark tree or something in the background.
You, Santa, Santa, whoa.
One of these for a bit more of a Christmassy magical feel. Being VoicePlay, it would be too easy to just go straight into the first verse, so they introduce some harmonic complexity. Being the real dissonant note there. Well, there are actually a couple of dissonant notes, so this is the kind of root chord, and the dissonant note that I mentioned turns it into a dominant seventh, which then moves down to, which is the key here, C. And if we listen to Jeff's part,
Gifts I'm
Dumba dumba. And then he jumps up the octave to the C. Dum. You know, I just listened again. I was going to say this note was also in it, but it's not. It's the upper part, which we might expect to go on whoa, but instead it goes. And without the final note, the chord sounds a bit more dissonant. Almost like an augmented chord. Anyway, so before we actually start with the verse, we have a nice little harmonic preparation, and then
gifts I'm preparing for some Christmas sharing, but I'm paused because
I like how it's just the bass, a click, J-non with the melody, building up to the accompaniment. I'm going to turn on the subtitles, actually. I was meant to, but I forgot earlier.
I'm paused because.
And again, the phrase comes off. What do we hear? Jeff's walking, falling bass. Such a prominent part of this song and this arrangement, it seems. On the knocking, cool effects by Lane, and that's the first visual change up.
Hang in a stocking, I can hear you knocking. Is that you, Santa Claus?
I wonder why they do these position changes. Like I said, I think it makes it just seem a bit more unsettling, a bit more eerie. Do you agree? Or perhaps they've said something elsewhere that might suggest why they've done it? Let me know if you do know. And as usual, VoicePlay, they don't make things boring. So every line almost, they are changing what they do structurally, texturally. In this case, they move to homophony on, what's the word, ain't it dark out or something?
It sure is dark out, ain't no spark out.
I got those lines mixed perfectly. Oh, and this is cool. I've paused. Ooh, this pause has not done Caesar's face any favors. Or Ellie. Oh, lordy lord, any of them actually. Well, I guess this shows how they how they edit in these change-up effects.
Upon my slacking jaw, who's there, who is it, are you stopping for a visit?
Is that you, Santa Claus?
So as we just heard there, everything is very melodic, very musical, a clear melody. Louis Armstrong, I mean, at least this is the version that I've been listening to. Let's just take a listen to that same end of phrase.
Is it stopping for a visit? Is that you, Santa Claus?
And then the brass with that, and then the bass comes in, really gives it this energy. And that's one thing that was just so distinctive about Louis Armstrong, his ability to, you know, to kind of speak sing, as I call it. But it is still very melodic, just how he accentuates parts of the sentence that you would not expect him to.
Who's there? Who is it? Stopping for...
Who is it? Who is it? I am never trying to do a Louis Armstrong impression again. So instead of a direct impersonation, we have Jeff coming in.
Is that you, Santa Claus?
Santa Claus, are you bringing a present for me?
And there goes the walking bass. And as I just said, with the original at this point, that's really where a lot of energy comes in rhythmically. VoicePlay, being an a cappella group, one of their strengths is being able to really change harmony. All voices working together, there's much more of an, well, this is subjective, but a kind of natural feeling when they all move into the major. Again, if we listen to the original change to the major at this point.
Are you bringing a present for me?
You've just got the bass, you've got some tinkling on the piano, you've got a muted trumpet sustaining one note, and you've got Louis Armstrong's half melody. With VoicePlay, this change is so harmonically obvious.
Claus.
Santa Claus, are you bringing a present for me? Something pleasant that you can present, a present for me.
And they don't have trumpets, they don't have a piano to tinkle on. Where does their rhythmic energy come from? Well, just listen to the accompanying parts. And Caesar here as well, very energetic.
Are you bringing a present for me? Something pleasant that you can present.
Something pleasant that you can present. Cha-cha-cha-cha-cha. I feel like in my videos when I am talking about rhythms, I often go cha-cha-cha-cha. Well, here's quite literally them doing that just with words. Then the end of this phrase, here's the original.
Would you mind slipping it under the door?
And his VoicePlay.
Been waiting for.
Would you mind slipping it under the door?
And that sounds coming from Lane, I think. I don't know what that is, but I'm here for it. I think it's very fun.
Slipping it under the door.
Cold winds are howling.
One subtle change here that VoicePlay do that really stuck out to me. Let's listen to the Louis Armstrong again.
Would you mind slipping it under the door?
Just his voice, nothing else. VoicePlay, we have Jeff's voice, but we do have something else.
Would you mind slipping it under
The classic hi-hat. So overall, it seems that they are being very respectful to the original. They are quite closely following it, at least structurally, but of course adding in these subtle nuances, subtle differences that they so often do to keep things interesting and to put their own twist on it. On that note, before we carry on, just before we pause, they added in a section, I think, and they kind of modernize it, as I will call it. So we start to get this modernization with Janan here.
Hey, mama, my.
You'll see what I mean. The original at this point.
Hey, my, oh me, my. Kindly will you reply?
VoicePlay even changed the lyrics here to won't you reply?
Oh me, my. Oh, won't you reply?
Instead of kindly will you reply, won't you reply, there are fewer syllables. It allows for this really quite natural fall from Janan.
Is that you, Santa Claus? Oh, tonight you know he's coming. Oh, he's coming for you.
Right, so here, this bit is, well, they've added it in, haven't they? Let me double check, actually. Yeah, I checked the lyrics, checked the original version I've been listening to. It's an instrumental section. VoicePlay, being human voices, have decided to implement lyrics, words.
You've not been to bed. He's coming, you're running and running, he's coming to get you.
And what they do here, we've seen it in quite a few of their other performances. Stylistically, the effects that we hear, such as in like Dream On, for example. And that's where we got to. So let's carry on for the second half.
A gift, be good. You better be good. Ooh, hanging a stocking, I can hear you knocking. Is that you, Santa Claus? Is that you, Santa, Santa? Whoa, is that you, Santa, Santa? Whoa, who is it for you? Stop and going.
Zat U Santa Claus?
Can't explain why I'm
Shaking that way, but I can see old Santa in the keyhole. I'll get to the car.
just one peek and then I swear, uh-oh, there's an eye there.
Is that you, Santa Claus? To my knees, say that it's you.
Oh, say it's you. Santa Claus.
Yep, that's him, all right.
Yeah, that was a cool one. Groovy. Groovy is the word that comes to mind. The second half, we did see more changes, like more deviation from the original. And there were several cases where they would just very subtly change the harmony just for a chord or two, really in passing. Enough to kind of catch my attention and go, ooh, but then they were just back to normal. Let's try to hunt for those examples if I can find them. Here's the first one on Ooh, Ooh, Is That You?
Whoa, is that you?
That note there is a bit suspect, as in compared to the original harmony, it obviously works really well here. I'm just going through hunting, but I just have to play this bit again because fair play lane, unreal. Wow. And then this bit, there are several things.
Just one peek and then I swear, uh-oh, there's an eye there.
That third chord, to me, is a harmonic change. but also we get Janun's lovely chromatic descent on the melody. And in these accompanying chords, we have chords. That's the key word. If we listen to the original, Louis Armstrong is doing his very unique half melody type thing, but underneath we just have the rising bass. Dum, dum, dum.
One beacon outside there. Oh, there's an eye there.
And then it comes off actually. The accompaniment naturally is on, off, on, off. So when it is on, when we hear something, VoicePlay are filling it out with chords, and that allows them to manipulate the harmony in a more exaggerated way, at least because we have more notes that we're hearing. From where we carried on, really, really nice homophonic melisma.
Be good. You better be good.
Very tight sound. And as usual, we get an idea of growth in here. VoicePlay being very obvious with the fact that they are multi-tracking, adding in additional layers. With the whistles coming in on top. There are just little things as well, again, changes to the original. I feel like I'm showing clips of the original far more than I usually do in this case, but because it is so closely related to the original song overall, I kind of think it's worth it just to show the subtlety to VoicePlay's changes. So this phrase.
Is that you, Santa Claus? Oh, there's Santa you.
Everything cuts off, an instrumental prelude, as small as it may be, and then the melody comes back in and we get the rhythmic bass coming back in. VoicePlay, how do they choose to do that?
You Santa Claus.
2, 3, 4. It's just groovy. Groovy is the word. And then we get Ellie coming in now in that rock tenor voice of his, as I so often see it called in the comments. It just opens up the sound completely now. The melody is far, far higher than we've had consistently, and that allows for a tighter sound underneath chordal accompaniment. I often say that it's easier to dissect parts when they're higher up due to the frequencies being much quicker. Hello, Hemiola. Okay, I'm going to need your help for this bit.
In that rain, I can see old Santa in the keyhole.
Super low bass melody, perhaps with words that rhyme with that, with an O sound. Where is it from? It's just reminding me of something else, and I cannot, for the life of me, remember if it's VoicePlay or if it's another song, and I'll be sat here for another 40 minutes trying to remember, so I won't do that. Please help me out if you know what I'm talking about. For that reason, for me, music is very nostalgic. I can hear something and it will remind me of a song or a time, and that's why I really enjoy Jeff's little line there, because it is affecting me in terms of nostalgia. It's also just quite fun, isn't it?
Shaking that rain, but I can see old Santa in the keyhole. I'll get to the car.
And there's some classic VoicePlay rhythmic manipulation. Why it's slightly different this time round though is because it's in swing rhythm. So standard rhythms would be cha-cha, 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 I'll get to the. But in swing rhythms, it's bouncy. Bum ba bum ba bum ba bum ba. You see, the first note of every bum ba is longer than the second one. So they're singing the offbeats, but they are shorter offbeats than you would typically get.
I'll get to the car.
And I could not finish the video without mentioning Janun's Louis Armstrong impression.
Is that you, Santa Claus?
And I love how Janun, through the position changes, is continuing with his dance moves here. I did point out his dance moves in their boy band's medley. I thought they were pretty good. Please check out my reaction to that if you haven't seen that. Super, super fun one. Had me laughing all over the place. Card up here. Yeah, nice scat section taking us to the end. And that final section, we do get a hemiola.
Say that it's you.
Just there. Then this build up. I'm sure we were all wondering when that build up was going to end. Goes pretty high.
Santa Claus.
Yep, that's him all right.
And they are obviously talking about me because look at the hat. Well, that's always fun, especially discovering a new Christmas song. I did not know that one. In the grand scheme of things, I probably know the smallest percentage of all Christmas songs that are out there. And discovering that new Christmas song, listening to it a handful of times and then going straight into this and seeing VoicePlay's respect towards it, structurally, maybe not so much at the end, but overall, they were very, very particular about maintaining the song's original feel. And like I say, groovy is the word. If I was listening to the Louis Armstrong version, I would be thinking groovy, but VoicePlay, they do their own thing. They add in their own nuances. Hopefully that's a nice addition to all of your Christmas playlists. As always, thank you for watching. Would appreciate a like and subscribe. You can keep this Santa cozy by donating me a hot chocolate at the Buy Me a Coffee linked below. And if you'd like to join the community, get access to exclusive content not on YouTube, you can do so by joining the Patreon linked on the screen now, and I will see you next time.